Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today's episode, we're gonna be harvesting some brassicas, some broccoli, some cauliflower. Look at these monsters, all organically cultivated, of course, here at the garden with our students. So in today's video, we're gonna talk a little bit about how we got them this big, and then what to do and not do when you're harvesting, because there's some little tips and tricks I think you might just like. So hope you enjoy. It is such a beautiful winter's day out in the garden. So first, we're growing broccoli, we're growing cauliflower. They love this cool weather. And how we get massive heads is a few things. And it's all the basics. We amend our soil twice a year, once in the fall, once again in the early spring. Tons of organic matter, bat guano, kelp meal, earthworm castings, of course, chicken manure, bone meal, feather meal, all these wonderful organic ingredients we add back to the soil. And of course, we do a lot of composting on site. Once that compost is fully broken down, that gets added back into the garden as well. So we enrich and amend the soil constantly, twice a year. And so it's all about having really rich, healthy soil. So at your own home, whether it's in a container or in the ground, it really starts with having rich, healthy soil that's well suited to whatever environment you're in. Whether, like I said, you're in a container, you want some really healthy, nutritious potting soil that's well drained, in a container that can drain as well. Out here in the ground, we have plenty of space for drainage. These are all up on slightly raised hills. Spacing, of course, is important. So we try to pack them in as tight as we can, but we have rows about 3 feet on center that allow our students to kind of navigate in between. At home, you might want to pack them a little closer if you want to, but it's really up to you. But giving them each enough space that they can just kind of mature fully is really helpful. Of course, we do fertilize with organics as well, so we'll have some liquid fish emulsion, sea kelp. It's all about feeding the soil. The soil will feed the plant. Of course, it's full sun right here, and that's also a great thing for us because there's not a lick of shade. They get sun from the morning till sundown, so full sun is also very helpful. Like I said, feed that soil, feed the plant. We've been keeping an eye out for aphids and creatures. Luckily for us, in the winter, I noticed the pressure from insects is not as bad as it is usually in the spring and summer. So we've had a little bit of aphid out here, but such a small amount, it really hasn't affected even a single head. So you want healthy plants. So good soil, feed them as needed, and also keep the bugs off them. When they're really young, little seedlings, we also want them to get to maturity. So that's when they're most vulnerable to slugs and snails. So you can either look for that damage early on, or you can put out Sluggo or other slug baits if you so need it, that are hopefully organic, certified, because we don't want too many chemicals out here. We like to keep the synthetics, keep those on the farms, other people's farms, the big large scale stuff. We like growing organic here, and that's how you're going to get these big massive heads. And I've shown you in the intro video that they're huge, and I'll show you a bit more close-ups here in a minute, but they're really healthy. The plants are looking great, and it's time to harvest. So let's take a closer look at exactly how we're gonna do that. Let's start with the broccoli, and then we'll head to the cauliflower. So here we go. Let's start with the broccoli here. You can see a beautiful crown here. I mean, it's massive, good size on it, and it's starting to loosen up around the edges here. That's when you know it's ready to harvest. Sometimes when they first start to form, it's really tight and almost like hard as a rock. Maybe don't harvest it just then. Now it's a little bit looser. They're starting to swell up, and it's definitely time. We probably could have harvested these last week, but the chef had some plans for them this week, so I had to wait a little bit, and that's okay sometimes. But they're ready to pop. You see they're getting a little looser, and if I wait and don't do anything, these are all gonna bud out and start popping into actual flowers. So we wanna get to them before that happens. And it's really simple. Just get out a clean pair of your pruners if you can, and you're just gonna go down that stalk a little bit with these, and you're gonna cut that little devil out, leaving behind the plant actually, and make sure it doesn't flop into the soil. Oh, I caught it. Ah! There we go, it landed heads up. So try to not do what I do there. You want to keep it out of the dirt. But look at that, landed just right. And so now it's cut, got a little bit of the stem on there, just fine. But what I really want to point to is just leave it behind. Make a nice clean cut if you can, because what's going to happen is, if you want to, a lot of these leaves are edible. So if it was up to you and it was time to pull this row out to get something new in, if the season is changing, but by all means do that. And you can, what I would recommend is harvest all of this, because all those leaves are edible. The stem is also edible and quite delicious. Actually, we were eating it earlier today with the students. Crunchy, sweet, has a good snap to it. But so if you have to harvest and change for the season, try to use as much of this plant as possible, because this stuff is really good. All these greens can be cooked down and eaten like a cooked green, and they're delicious, they're nutritious, really good for you. But I want to recommend that you extend your season. For us right now, we're still right in the middle of winter. And so I have no danger of planting my tomatoes or peppers out here anytime soon, although those are started indoors right now as little germinating seeds. But what I want to do, as you can see, I got one that I cut there, one that was cut there, and a good example of one cut here. But I've left the plant behind because what I want to get is these. Oh, this is actually, so I love eating the crowns. They're delicious and they're massive and they're wonderful. But when it comes to what I really love most is actually eating these offshoots. So let me show you. So these secondary heads that aren't the main crown, they'll start to develop on the side shoots, all lateral growth, almost like when you get additional growth, or when you deadhead or whatever, it starts to push off more blossoms. Same thing here. They're never gonna be as big or as glorious as that original crown, but they are awesome. And it almost looks like what broccolini or broccoli rabe. But what I love about this, whenever I see the broccoli rabe in my grocery store, it looks kind of like this, but it's always limp and kind of lifeless and never looks great. And that's nothing against the growers. It just, they have to get shipped and they travel. But what's nice about these is that they have the best little crispy, little sweet stem. It's almost like a big asparagus. But wait, for us, it's kind of free or almost more affordable. And they're awesome. I almost love eating these spears better than these, because what I'll do is I'll just pull these branches off, and then I will saute them up, a little olive oil, a little salt, a little pepper, a little garlic, or whatever you like. You can steam them, you can bake them. They're so good, and like I said, this stuff is delicious. Let me take a look. That is good. Look at that, I just cut it. Just the base of that is totally good food. You could shred these stems, but having them just like this is where it's at. So when it comes to harvesting your broccoli, harvest your main crown, get it in, eat it however you like it. Harvest those green leaves if you want to, but ultimately I leave them behind so they can fuel and generate more side shoots. You can see, like I said, there's more here and more will come. I think you'll be shocked at how much harvest and repeat harvest you can get off your broccoli. So if you're still in between seasons and the warm season isn't quite there yet, just think about considering leaving your broccoli for a little longer, so that way you can enjoy a secondary harvest of these wonderful, amazingly delicious little side shoots here, these secondary ones. And they're awesome. They're so good. And like I said, I will pull some of the side branches off. Those can be cooked and eaten as well. Like everything on here is edible except for basically the roots. So broccoli is awesome for that way. And you know what? We all are wanting to be healthy and have good health. And I'm telling you, it all starts with your food. Your food can be your medicine if you so choose. Although I'm not a doctor, but so don't use it as medicine. But you know what I mean, metaphorically. You can avoid being sick sometimes just by eating really, really well. So you can see a nice big head in there formed up. We'll cut that out. But what's great is we're gonna come back to these in a few weeks, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video and I'll show you how many of these secondary shoots these all put out, and they're gonna be fantastic. I love getting those extra harvests. Now I mentioned that we were gonna harvest also some cauliflower. So let's just get right to it. Don't even need to do a cut. I'll just walk over there. So the cauliflower is looking killer. I pulled one out of here earlier that you saw in that video. I mean, the thing was like 1.5 feet across at the top. They're huge. This is called graffiti. It's a delicious kind of purplish pink one, kind of lavender in color. It just looks so awesome. We've got several rows. I got excited with this one this year. So I got, multiple rows of it. And the difference with these is how I like to harvest it is I'll find a healthy one. Let's find one that we can do. So you can see I pulled that big one out of there. And so these leaves, they're probably edible, but I usually don't cook with them too often. So I usually pull these off, and if I don't have a plan for them in the kitchen, then they'll go right into the worm bin as a treat to the worms. For those of you who maybe have chickens and other livestock, probably an amazing chance to get them some good nutrition. And you just chop this up, throw it out there, and I'm sure they'll just love it. We get pecked to death by those chickens. But here, look at this big old one right here. And so as opposed to the broccoli, these ones that I've noticed, they're not really gonna do a lot of reblooming. You're not gonna get a lot of post-harvest blooms. If you do that, if you get yours at home to do that, that's pretty cool. Mine really haven't done that. And so what we're gonna do is, I'm not gonna worry about those leaves so much. So what I like to do is put my hand down and just press those leaves out of the way. You can even just grab them. And these will all, like I said, will go into the compost. They'll go into the worm bin. Or if we had chickens, I'd be feeding them to my chickens like crazy. So when we're done, let me show you. So you can see this one is basically just down. The plant is pretty much gone now. And I'm gonna get in there and I'm just gonna get my pruners and harvest right there. Like I said, I try to keep it out of the dirt. And it's just because these ones are really, oh, sorry for the camera work, guys. But yeah, you just cut it underneath. You don't need to leave much of that stem there. You see, that's what's left behind. I'll kind of dig this up. I'll shake off the soil when the time is right, and then that way I don't leave it in there for too long, because I'll compost that old root system and get out of there. But that's basically it. So I'm not going to worry about coming back for a repeat harvest of the cauliflower, but I will do that with our broccoli. As you can see, I got lots more to harvest, lots more to enjoy. But that's really it. That's how you harvest cauliflower and broccoli. It's really simple. At least that's how I do it. I would recommend, you know, if you research more, go listen to more people, learn as much as you can. There's some wonderful gardeners and growers out here on YouTube. I'm one little pleb out here trying to grow. So hopefully I can learn just as well as you can. But look at that. That's a beautiful head of cauliflower, and equally delicious to the broccoli. It has a different texture, different flavor. So I cannot wait to stir fry this up tonight and get a really good meal out of it. Well, that wraps it up for this week, garden friends. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Happy gardening to you all. Please go out there and grow yourself some broccoli, some greens, some cauliflower. I'm telling you, it's worth the effort. It'll be the best broccoli you've ever had. And if, like I said, if you do it right, it'll just keep coming back and back as long as that season keeps going. And then at a certain point, we'll cut it all out, and then these will get replaced with our warm season crops. So something to look forward to now and something to look forward to then. Ooh, there we go. Until next time, garden friends, happy gardening to you all. And please never stop growing and never stop harvesting. Let's get it.